A cat named Masha did something amazing that no one expected. She didn't just take care of her own kittens, she also adopted 4 baby squirrels who had lost their mother. Masha, who used to be a shelter cat, became a hero by welcoming the little squirrels and raising them like her own babies. It all started when the squirrels were found alone, abandoned in a tree that was cut down during routine maintenance. Without their mother, their chances of survival were slim, but thanks to Masha's surprising maternal instincts, their fate took a dramatic turn. Today, we'll share the full story of how this unlikely family came together, how Masha became their protector, and how the love and care of one cat changed the lives of these helpless squirrels forever. Stay tuned, because what happens next will truly warm your heart. In the small town where this story unfolded, springtime is when the local authorities typically go around inspecting the parks and wooded areas for trees that need to be removed. This particular day seemed like any other. A team of workers was cutting down old trees that could be dangerous for visitors. One by one, the trees fell until they reached a massive oak that had stood for decades, as the chainsaw roared and the tree crashed to the ground. The workers spotted something unusual inside its hollow trunk. Nestled deep within were 4 tiny newborn squirrels. Their eyes were barely open, their bodies fragile and small. Immediately, the workers stopped what they were doing, their hearts sinking at the sight. The mother squirrel was nowhere to be found, and it was clear that these babies had been left behind. Time was running out for the baby squirrels. Without their mother, they had little hope of surviving. The workers did the only thing they could think of. They gathered up the tiny creatures and contacted the local animal rescue shelter. The shelter staff, used to handling abandoned pets and injured animals, were immediately moved by the situation. But they also knew that caring for baby squirrels was no easy task. They required constant feeding, warmth, and protection. One of the shelter workers, who had a deep love for animals, had an idea. It was a brave choice, and maybe even a bit risky, but tough times needed bold actions. Masha, a mother cat at the shelter who had just given birth to kittens, was known for being very caring. Maybe, just maybe, Masha could help. Cats and squirrels don't usually get along. In nature, a cat might see a squirrel as food, but the shelter staff believed that Masha's maternal instincts might override those natural hunting impulses. With the tiny baby squirrels squeaking softly in their arms, their delicate bodies warm and fragile, the rescuers moved cautiously toward Masha's enclosure. Their hearts pounded with a mixture of hope and apprehension, knowing that what they were about to do carried a great risk. Would Masha, a creature governed by instinct, embrace the helpless younglings? Or would she react as nature often dictates? They prepared themselves for both possibilities, hoping for the best but bracing for the worst. As they knelt beside Masha's space, they hesitated for a moment before carefully placing the baby squirrels near her, their tiny bodies trembling with uncertainty. The air in the room grew thick with tension, as if everyone present was holding their breath, unwilling to disturb the delicate moment unfolding before them. Every second felt like an eternity. Masha's ears twitched as she turned her gaze toward the tiny, unfamiliar creatures. At first, she appeared hesitant, uncertain of what had just been introduced into her world. She took a tentative step forward, her keen nose twitching as she sniffed the little bodies, carefully examining them one by one. Her whiskers quivered as she took in their scent, trying to understand what these small beings were, and whether they posed a threat or belonged in her care. The shelter workers stood still, hardly daring to breathe as they watched Masha's every move, their eyes filled with anticipation. One wrong reaction could be dangerous for the tiny baby squirrels. Would she push them away? Would her instincts take over? Then, in a moment no one expected, something incredible happened. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel, It is very important for us. Thank you very much." Instead of turning away, instead of hissing or retreating in discomfort, Masha began to groom them. One by one, she gently licked their fragile bodies, her tongue moving with the same tenderness she reserved for her own kittens. She cleaned them thoroughly, her warm breath washing over them, her actions filled with an unexpected affection that stunned everyone in the room. It was a sight that defied logic, an act of kindness from a creature whose instincts should have dictated otherwise. A predator, rather than seeing them as something to chase or harm, was embracing them with the warmth of a mother. From that moment forward, Masha took on a new role, not just as a mother to her kittens, but as the protector of these orphaned baby squirrels. She allowed them to nestle against her, pressing their tiny bodies into her fur, seeking warmth and comfort. They, in turn, instinctively clung to her, their fears slowly melting away as they realized that they had found safety in the unlikeliest of places. But this amazing story wasn't just about a mother's unusual love, it was a fight for survival. Even though Masha fed the squirrels along with her kittens, the shelter staff soon realized that her milk wouldn't be enough for everyone. The tiny squirrels needed extra food to have a chance to grow strong and healthy. Determined to give them the best possible chance at life, the shelter team quickly sprang into action. They organized shifts to ensure round-the-clock care, bottle-feeding the tiny creatures every few hours with a special formula designed to meet their nutritional needs. It was an exhausting and demanding task, requiring patience, dedication, and unwavering commitment. Yet, despite the sleepless nights and the constant vigilance required to keep the squirrels healthy, no one hesitated. As the days passed, the bond between Masha and her unusual brood grew stronger. The baby squirrels, now fully trusting of their adoptive mother, followed her everywhere, mimicking the behavior of the kittens. They climbed on her back, nestled into her side, and even started to play with their kitten siblings. It was a strange and beautiful sight. Squirrels and kittens raised together as one family. The story of Masha and the baby squirrels didn't stay within the walls of the shelter for long. One of the staff members posted a few photos online, and before they knew it, the story had gone viral. People from all over the world were touched by this special family, and the shelter received countless messages of support. Donations came in, helping the shelter continue its work. Visitors traveled from near and far just to see Masha and her adopted squirrels. For weeks, Masha's family became the heart of the shelter. The baby squirrels grew stronger with each passing day, thriving under Masha's care and the watchful eyes of the shelter staff. The kittens, too, grew healthy and strong, and the bond between the two species deepened. It was a sight that touched everyone who saw it. But as time went on, the staff at the shelter knew they had to face an inevitable decision, one they had been dreading but knew was necessary. The baby squirrels were growing up quickly, their once tiny, fragile bodies now agile and strong. Each day, they became more independent, their natural instincts beginning to surface. They had learned how to climb with ease, their little paws gripping onto anything they could find, and their playful chases had become more like training for the life that awaited them beyond the shelter walls. It was a bittersweet realization for everyone who had cared for them. Masha had done something truly extraordinary, raising them with the same tenderness she had shown her own kittens. But no matter how deep the bond they had formed, the squirrels were, after all, wild animals. Their instincts would inevitably call them back to the forests, to the trees where they truly belonged. The shelter staff knew the day was coming. With both pride and sadness, they started getting ready for the moment when the squirrels would be strong enough to go. They watched them carefully, making sure they learned the skills needed to survive on their own. Each day brought them closer to their release, a moment of both achievement and goodbye. They slowly began transitioning the baby squirrels to more independent feeding, allowing them to explore their surroundings outside of Masha's enclosure. But even as they ventured out, the bond between the squirrels and their adoptive mother remained strong. Masha watched them closely, always aware of their movements, always ready to welcome them back when they returned. And then the day came. The squirrels, now fully grown and brimming with energy, were finally ready to be released into the wild. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with deep emotions for everyone at the shelter, especially for the staff who had cared for them since they were weak and fragile. From tiny, helpless babies with uncertain futures, they had grown into strong, independent animals, ready to live in the wild again. The release took place in a lush green forest, not far from where they had originally been found, a place teeming with life and opportunities for them to thrive. As the staff carefully carried the crates to a clearing, there was a hushed sense of anticipation in the air. When the doors to the carriers were finally opened, the squirrels hesitated. For a brief moment they remained still, their tiny noses twitching as they took in the unfamiliar sense of their true home. And then, as if a switch had been flipped, their instincts took over. One by one they darted forward, their small bodies quick and agile as they scurried toward the towering trees. They climbed higher and higher, their movements confident and effortless, until one by one they disappeared into the dense canopy. The shelter staff watched in quiet awe, knowing they had done everything possible to give these creatures a second chance at life. It was a moment of triumph, but also of sadness. Masha, the cat who had protected and nurtured them as her own, remained at the shelter, watching as her adopted young ventured into the wild. She did not follow, nor did she try to stop them. Her job was done. With quiet dignity, she returned to caring for her own kittens, who were growing up quickly themselves. Yet, there was something in her posture. A quiet sense of pride, an understanding that she had done something extraordinary. Masha's story didn't end there. She remained at the shelter, a local hero to all who visited. Her fame continued to grow, and people from all over the country came to see the cat who had adopted baby squirrels. But for Masha, it was just another day of being a mother, a role she had embraced with all her heart, no matter the species of her babies. The baby squirrels now living in the wild sometimes showed up near the shelter. Some staff members said they had seen them racing through the trees, as if they still remembered their first home. And maybe they did. After all, Masha had given them more than just food and shelter. She had given them a chance at life. In the end, this story is a testament to the power of love and the bonds that can form in the most unlikely of circumstances. Masha, a cat who could have easily followed her instincts, chose compassion instead. She became a mother to creatures that, in any other situation, would have been her prey. And in doing so, she reminded us all that love knows no boundaries, not even between species. So, the next time you think about the natural order of things, remember Masha and her baby squirrels. Because sometimes the most extraordinary bonds are formed in the most unexpected ways. Did you like this story? What do you think led Masha to welcome the squirrels as her babies, instead of seeing them as prey? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Love and compassion can transcend all instincts and form extraordinary bonds. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.